What's going on here? All right. Looks like everything is working. Ooh. Today's going to be short because we only have, I think, 2 or 3 people jumping in today on live stream. I don't leave too many people during the week to have tuning left over for the weekend because I've been going through them so fast. But we'll have a short one today. I already have 2 emails from the customers that are on the live stream today for tuning. So I'm just going to bust those open right now and we'll get working on it. Make sure we're on the right page here. And hopefully audio and video is good again this week. I moved everything around and hopefully I didn't jack anything up. Right, Cameron, this is your log on your GTX 2860 Perron, who knows how they pronounce it over there, but turbo kit for Fiesta ST. So we're just looking to see what your base spring pressure is, and I know they run really low spring pressures on those kits over in the UK, and that mostly has to do with boost creep. You can kind of see already, even we're on base map, we're starting off at 10 psi down low, and it's creeping up to roughly about 12. As we increase boost, that's going to extrapolate and get worse as we go. So everything looks good as far as boost on a base looks. I would probably suggest going up in spring pressure in the wastegate. Just well, if you're only going to be staying on 91 octane, then this will be fine. But if you plan on doing fuel system upgrades and running E30 to E50, some sort of ethanol mix, you definitely want to, I just jacked that up. You definitely want to get a higher spring rate in there as long as we can keep boost creep in control. So that all looks good. Make sure we ain't got any crazy timing or knock. Looks like these little jumps here probably to do a traction control, and they are. You can see the purple line here, the spark source jumps, so that's traction kicking in. Not a big deal. That's going to happen on a front-wheel drive big turbo car, even at low boost pressure. And just make sure he's not crazy cold or anything. 78 degrees. So yeah, so on this one here, we're just going to increase boost and get on to the next map. Hopefully he's watching and he can get me a log back real quick. Let's see. Cameron. Raise up boost. Spool's pretty good because he's got an actual turbo kit versus like an ATP setup. So not too bad. 4,300. He did start at 3,000. So if he starts at a little bit lower RPM, spool will be faster. But everything looks good for now. We're just going to bump that up. And set this one off. Yes, clicky clacky keyboard. And Joey was on last week with his EcoBoost Mustang that has a Borg Warner EFR 7163 turbo kit on it. And we got some craziness going on here. What in the fuck? All right. So looking at it, we have way too much preload on the gate or something's not hooked up right. So you can see the white line here is boost pre-throttle, and it's maxed out. Red's our target. So the car is just basically over boosting the entire time. It has literally no boost control. So Joey, I'm sending you an email just in case you're not on yet. And you have no boost control. You need to look at your install when because you just upgraded your springs. Because last week we had too soft of springs in there. Boost was waving inconsistent because this thing's going to eventually be on E85. Right now it's just on 91. When it gets on E85, we're going to be able to run a lot more boost, 27-ish pounds of boost, and the springs that were in there just weren't going to cut it. There was just going to be way too inconsistent, way too soft. So he upgraded springs, shipped him some this week. He got him in there, but it looks like possibly it's either over preloaded or it might not have hooked up the line on the front of the wastegate actuator. So need to look at that. Line on the front. Make sure it's connected. Something is off here. So because I know it's not a tune related issue, because we look at wastegate duty cycle, it's only at like 5%, going up to like 12. So this is as low as you can kind of get on these 2018 plus Mustangs. So we have boost set in the tune basically as low as it'll go, and he's still getting an insane boost. So again, too much preload or something went wrong when you installed this thing back on there after you tossed in the springs. So let's go ahead and get that fixed and get out there and grab another log. All right, and Cameron's already out with the new tune. Going to get some new logs so we can get back on that one real quick. All right, come back into stream. Matt, curious on your opinions on blow-off valve and what you recommend and how they may or may not affect the tune. Example, the common TurboSmart 5050, why the pink spring is needed and how to adjust. So I read the questions out loud in the videos because after this stream is over, all these messages that are in here are gone. Nobody can see them. So if I'm just answering without reading the question, people are not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. So looking at it, going back to Matt's question, sorry. Matt's question, blow-off valves, I believe he's speaking about Focus RS. I believe he's a Focus RS customer. Look and see, look up his, pretty sure I tuned your car, Matt. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're a Focus RS customer either way. With the TurboSmart 5050, why we use the pink spring is because the spring it ships with normally is too stiff. It doesn't allow for the pressure to release when you let off the throttle, so it'll surge. So we found that the pink spring works best for both the EcoBoost Mustang and Focus RS. The factory blow-off valve is kind of good for stock turbo, but it kind of has weird drivability. So they're both controlled by solenoids on the Mustang and the Focus RS and the Fiesta. Actually, they're all are controlled by a solenoid, or the unit itself. The bypass valve is electronic. And when it has factory controlled blow-off valves or bypass valves, they tend to cycle a lot when you're just kind of part throttle cruising. So I like to change them out just to get better drivability. You're really not going to gain any power until you go like big turbo. So when you have a big turbo, you can kind of push boost pressure so high that it'll lift the bypass valve a little bit and have a little bit of a leak, or it'll chatter in the upper RPMs. So swapping out the blow-off valve, you can just do one like in factory placement, but I always prefer to do like a charge pipe kit where you can put a blow-off valve on the charge pipe kit from Tile or TurboSmart, something like that. So that pretty much handles blow-off valves. You really don't need to upgrade them until you start getting higher into boost, or if you want the best drivability, definitely swap it out. Amir, talked to you on Instagram about my data log. Could you show me how my tune ran lean on watt? Sure, I'll actually bring up your log. Let me, before I load your log up, I'm actually going to clip the screen a little bit just so people can't see the file name on the tune because it's not from us. And I'm not looking to out any tuners or anything on here. So let me clip this screen real quick. Oh boy. Actually, I'm just going to put my face over it. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So, so here's your peak torque. This is where you first get into boost. Usually peak torque happens right around here. We'll bring up your timing and all your corrections. We'll look at that first. So you just have a little bit of corrections right around peak torque. This means that the tuner just kind of has way too much timing in here. I think you're on 93 octane, I believe. If you are 93 octane, it's just a little bit too aggressive of timing right at peak torque. It's not crazy. It's not a huge deal. This is something that if I was tuning the car, would smooth this out and make sure you don't have any knock right here at peak torque. Having a little bit of corrections as you're getting the spools, okay, but definitely not when you're peak torque. Peak torque is the most stressful point for the engine because you're at low speeds and you're getting a huge amount of boost coming in, and also fuel is changing from cruising to power demand. So where you're going lean here, you can kind of see you're already trending lean as you're getting into boost. You have a quick dip here, and then you have 13-to-1 air fuel. So it's not super lean for a GDI engine. Excuse me. It's not super lean, but it's not something that I would do on any of our tunes. So it's just a little bit on the leaner side. This needs to be adjusted in the tune itself to clean it up. It should be a little bit richer here, more about 11.5 to 1, 11.7 to 1. So anything under 12 would be something I'd recommend here. And then realistically in the top end, air fuel looks fine. It flattens out. It could be a little leaner up top. 11.4 is a little on the rich side for GDI, direct injection engine. So ours, we usually target like 11 and 11.7, 11.8. If it's E85, you can go a little bit leaner. GDI engines love lean, but they also like to knock when you run them lean. And these engines really need a good amount of timing to make power. So, but yeah, on this, this right here, this whole area need to be straightened out. I know you bought a tune from us. I can send it over to you now if you want to go logging, and we can do it on this stream. But yeah, that's somebody else's tune, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm going to toss my fat face back up in the corner and go on to the next one. Joey, you said you're going to back off some preload. Check out the email I sent you. I just want to make sure you double check your install. Make sure that boost control solenoid line's hooked up correctly. Will you tune on a Synapse blow-off valve? Have you before? If yes, do you know off the top of your head which one it was? So we used to use Synapse on a couple different EcoBoost Mustangs we built a long time ago. We just kind of stopped using them because they started to be really inconsistent in performance. So sometimes it would get leaks on them. Sometimes it would just surge all the time. And realistically, it's just, we don't really like those blow-off valves. Not many people use them. So it's kind of surprising that you brought it up, because I haven't heard Synapse blow-off valve or their wastegates in forever. I don't even know if they're even still a company. Maybe. Are they still a company? Let's find out. Synapse blow-off valves. And they are. I don't know. This website looks exactly the way it looked back in 2015 when this thing was kind of relevant. But, tuning for a blow-off valve, these things run by themselves. So they're mechanical. They just have a line going to them. So tuning for it's not really anything that I need to do. It's either going to work or it's going to not work. And if it doesn't work, they need to figure out why. It only has one line going to it. I think these ones had like a 2-line system you can do, or do a bunch of weird shit with it. But honestly, it's just not worth the time. TurboSmart, Raceport, Tile Q, get a charge pipe kit, throw that on there, you're good to go. If you absolutely want to run this, then yeah, I'll work with you on figuring out any issues you might have, but their normal install instructions, it's going to work the same on any car. So just install it how they come, or they tell you, and just run it. So Kevin, who's Alpha Matter, what's good? What's good? Are you able to log your car today? If so, we can toss you on here. I know actually you got a log in my inbox, I'm pretty sure. Let's see where you're at. I knew you'd jump on here. You're a big fan of that. Let's see here. That's not you. It's another Kevin. Where are you at, buddy? Oh, that's right, because you're under Jazzy in my inbox for some reason. You do Jazzy. Okay. All right. Going back. There's my face. All right, we're good. All right, Kevin, this is your log. I will bring this up real quick. Having a look. So this is a Fiesta ST. We've already tuned it with for 91 octane. It's got a Whoosh hybrid and bolt-ons on it. So now we're doing E30, which is going to max out the stock fuel system pretty much. So we're going to see if we're already kind of to that point. We're real close, and I can tell you that by how the air fuel is kind of looking in mid-range here. It's starting to go up a little bit, and then with RPM, high-pressure fuel pump loves more RPM, so it pumps more fuel, so it gets back into check here. And you can see right towards the end, it starts to lean back out a little bit. So we're close. Even though the ECU pulls fuel in these things, it's kind of weird setup on these Fiestas. Even though it's pulling fuel, it does that because it thinks there's an issue. I don't know why. Even if I sort out short-term fuel trims right here and get them right on 0, it's not going to add any more fuel. So basically what we're going to do here on yours is we're going to look for a little bit more fuel in the top end and hopefully keep things in check. So timing's good. Boost is just a little bit lower than I'd like to see. So we're going to raise boost up a little bit, try to get, try to cut a little, get a little bit more fuel in there by some injector timing settings and double check your windows of range. So basically how long the engine's able to fuel before it has to cut off for the ignition cycle or the combustion cycle. So I'll bring up your tune real quick. Still don't know how to pronounce your last name, so I'm not going to try. Plus, it's don't need anybody to know what your last name is. So I am going to toss a little more boost in the top end on this guy here. You know your spring is kind of weak, which I mentioned before. Yeah, let's see, 65 hundo. I know it's boring when I'm making tune changes. I'm just sitting here concentrating and not really interacting. Got to make sure I'm doing everything exactly how it needs to be done. Don't want no issues. So we'll save that file for that. Injection. We're going to check the injection. We're pretty much maxed out there. We can get a little bit more in the top end, it looks like. Okay. So we have some room to add a little bit more fuel in there, but we're pretty much going to be maxed out once you hit about 24, 25 PSI. So open up the injection window a good bit and send that one back. Kevin, you got a new tune in your inbox. Go log it. And hopefully you're doing good. I know you had surgery, so hopefully everything's been good with that and you have no issues. Let's see. Let's go. Made the live session, Nick. Good info, thank you. Yes, sir, I can. Sorry, Focus RS. Untuned currently, but hoping in the next week or two get a tune on live stream spot. Sounds good. Switching the blow off valve to a charge pipe mounted one like you mentioned, I would imagine it would affect the tune, so I get that. So you can change the blow off valve any way you want. As long as we're holding boost when you do your logs, you're not going to have any issues. So we can tune it as is, and then later on you can change your blow off valve, and it's not going to need any tune adjustments. So the only reason why we would need to make a tune adjustment after there's been a blow off valve change is if the old blow off valve was leaking at all. And the new one's not. Now you're going to have boost where you didn't have it before. So that's the only reason why we would need to retune. And Kevin asked if aux fuel upgrade is better than injector upgrade. With the Whoosh hybrid, you really don't need anything else on the Fiesta ST than the injector upgrade. So it's cheaper than aux fuel, and it's all controlled through the factory ECU, so it's the best option. And if you order it through our website and shoot me a message, we can swap out the seals on it for Ford factory seals, because the seals that come on those injectors are kind of junk. They like to burn out, and people think their engine's blown, but all they just need is new seals. So if it's not something you can handle on your end, we can do it for you. It's just the price of the seals themselves, which I think our cost on them is like $90. And we just pass the cost of the seals right onto the customer, and we ship them right out to you, ready to drop in. So for your car, being it's just E30, being it's just a Whoosh hybrid, we can max out that turbo on just injectors because we have plenty of pressure. So if we go back to your log here, we get a little bit of dip of pressure down low, but it's still pretty high. 2,500 PSI is great, and you have a ton of pressure up top. So up top is where we're worried about going lean. So we definitely are just at the max of the injectors. So swapping those out, you'll get a ton more fuel. We can pick up like another 30, 40 horsepower because we can go up to about 26, 27 pounds of boost with that. And we can add a little bit more timing because you're only right about 11. We can go up to about like 13 degrees with that. Your base tune, Amir? Yeah, we'll make your base tune right now. Let me find you. Okay. So I think you bought a single tune, so we're going to do one fuel, and your car is all stock. So we ain't got to make any crazy changes. We'll get the base map going real quick. And Amir, Amir for a if you plan on doing a live tuning session through this stream here, just hop on the website real quick and grab the $30 live stream session. Other people have already paid it, so it'd be unfair to do it for you as well for free. So go ahead and hop on there, and basically any money that we get through here just goes into more content. It doesn't go as like a profit thing. It all just goes into tomorrow's a holiday. I get distracted by the chat so much. Anyways, all the money goes to like different equipment and stuff, so we can set up GoPros in the shop and do more content there. This setup here is just going to stay here, and we need to buy more equipment to have at the shop permanently. That way during the week when we're at the shop doing builds and stuff like that, we can make some videos on engines and whatnot. So pretty much going to stream for probably another hour today because we don't have many going on. So you can get on next week's too, but I'm going to send you your base map anyways because I'm waiting on logs to come back. So we got a 93 octane Focus RS with no mods. So we'll bring up our base map for this, send it over to you. Had wastegate added on there. There we go. Boop, boop. And send you over a tune. Clicky, clicky keyboard. And your serial number. 0406693. Alright, Amir, you have a email in your inbox with the tune file, base tune, along with all of our logging instructions. If you have questions on getting it on there, ask in the chat, and I'll gladly answer it for you. Alright, tune sent, bud. Let's see, more questions in there. Okay, in the house. Is this for Ed's build? I don't know what you're talking about for Ed's build. Ed's build's just sitting outside of my house actually right now because it just got transported back from fabrication, and the truck can't move until tomorrow. So we'll be working on that car in the next couple of weeks. Will you be working on tunes tomorrow? I know it's a holiday. Tomorrow's a holiday? What the hell is tomorrow? What is tomorrow? National Day. What is this? Is tomorrow National Chimichanga Day? Chimichanga? National Pancake? What is all this made up shit? What kind of holiday is tomorrow? Dominion Status Day? European Day of Languages? I don't know. I'm going back up here because this is food. I like food. Here we go. National Pancake Day. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's got a busy schedule for National Pancake Day, but I think I'll have some time doing some tunes. So we should be good. Let's see. Oh, I think it's a Jewish holiday. Oh, shit. Is it a Jewish holiday? My wife's Jewish, and so is my kid. Jewish holiday list. I should probably ask her. She's over here working out right now. She's on a Peloton. Jewish holiday list. March, May, September 26th. What is that? Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good. I'm not going to participate in the Rosh Hashanah. Participate in something that sounds similar, but not that. Danny Garcia. Good afternoon, Adam. I got a Fiesta full bolt-on with fuel support, no low-pressure fuel pump, and a 2867. If I would go on a dyno, what could I expect on 93 octane? Is it a Gen 1 or Gen 2 2867? And well, first of all, is it just a GT 2867 or a GTX? And then if so, Gen 1 or Gen 2, because there's a huge difference between all of them. So comment in the chat which one you have, and I'll be able to get you a better idea. Also, where are you located at? Because elevation and your climate could play a big part as well. Does your tune come with 4 map slots? Amir, if you look in the email I just sent you with your tune, it has the map slots broken down what's in there. And Nick Corin, yes, it's a Jewish holiday tomorrow, but not participating. I work every day. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas, I'm still working. So, but live streaming is only Sundays. So if you're talking about live stream tuning, just Sundays, even if it's a holiday. GTX Gen 2 Indianapolis. Okay, so you're not dealing with elevation, 93. So you're going to be limited to about like 290-ish on 93 octane before you hit the knock limit. So there's a point in which, you know, this is why people run ethanol and race gas and stuff, because of knock. You can only tune up until you get knock, and then you have to back it off a little bit. So 93 on Fiestas always make around like 290, 300 before you start seeing knock, and then you got to go up to ethanol. On that note, if you switch over to ethanol on your car, you're not going to make more than 290 either, because you're going to max out the fuel system. So, and Amir, that sounds good, but if you send me logs during the week, we might finish your tune before next Sunday anyways, because I'm turning them around, you know, within 24, 48 hours now. Tuning software. Boop. What button am I going for? Here we go. Just my face is what we're going for. So I'm looking. Hopefully Joey figured out his issue, and somebody just sent me an email without anything in it. Nothing attached to your email, bud. All right, let's grab another log here. I think he was just replying to his email saying which fuel he was on. So, Nick Corin, not sure. I know you switched tuners. So not sure if you know that we're doing live streaming or not, but if you are, here's your log. And I just said your last name out loud. Oh well. Nobody can figure out who you are. There's plenty of Nicks out there. All right. So we've been bumping up boost on this thing and really not seeing any response, it looks like. I'm going to bring up your old log as well. Looks like there might be an issue with your boost control solenoid. So these are the logs you already sent. And we'll make some changes for E50 as well. All right, so what we got? Hitting 20, tapering off to 18.5. And this was your last log, it looks like. Okay, 16 going down to, okay, like 17 dropping down to 16. Okay, so we are seeing a response. It's just a really small gain in boost with 30 PS or 30% wastegate duty cycle added. So we're gonna ramp that up. Bring up Nick's. Oh, I bet you I'm not even on the right screen. Yes, I suck. Got to get used to the hotkeys. All right. So this is a Fiesta ST GTX 2860 with XDI fuel pump and Bosch injectors. So this is his last tune, 20 PSI, tapering down to 18-ish, 18.5. And this is his previous tune, was 17, dropping down to 16. So I made a swing in boost pressure. I added wastegate duty cycle, but really didn't have a huge effect. It went up 3 PSI, which is, I guess, roughly the right amount. I could probably get a little more aggressive with the changes, but and Nick's right there. Oh, I didn't even see. Oh, you were the one that mentioned the Jewish holiday. I'm retarded. Sorry, bud. Sent a log, backed off preload. All right, Joey, I'll look at yours next. All right, so you're on E50 now, Nick. So we're gonna change that, and your boost is still tapering, so we need to flatten it out first, and then crank it up. So we'll do that. What'd you rev out to? 6,500-ish? All right. And your spool's coming on around, I would say 4. Perfect, right at 4. That's where we want to be. Now we're going to make a big change. So first change I made is, you're not seeing it because I'm not bringing up tuning software because it's proprietary information. But I flatten out your boost first, and then I'm gonna raise it up. We're gonna get you up to about 27, 28 psi. Probably this log is gonna get you around 24-ish. I want to see how big of a swing we get with these changes. So let's add some boosties in there. Get your tip desired. Perfect. All right, and now you switched from E30 to E50, so we just gotta get a little more sprinkle of fuel back in there. All right, Nick, there's a new tune in your inbox. Oh, okay, yes, I see it's on E50. Too many emails. Here we go. New tune sent. Go log that shit. Oh, I didn't change the file name. I guess I did. I just sent you the wrong tune file. That's why. Oh no, my computer's doing something stupid. It's Dropbox. Dropbox isn't updating. There we go. Okay. Now you got a new tune. Bear with me. Yes. All right. Thank you for answering my question. So sick. Great information. We'll tune now and worry about bluff upgrades later. All right. Sounds good, Matt. Touches life. How much should RS make stock turbo with full bolt-ons? If you are at elevation, that's going to affect your overall power. But if you are, say, at sea level, you're in the Midwest somewhere, not crazy up high in the mountains on 93, if we're tuning it, you're going to make, I would say, 360 to 370. That's going to be about the knock limit of 93. If you do E30, you can make about 380, 390. If you do a turbo upgrade in 93, you can make about 390, 400, pushing it, and on E30 about 420, and then you're just kind of at the max of the stock engine, so, and fuel system at that point too. But to answer your question, instead of adding so much information there, 360, 370 is what you usually see. Bolt-ons, 93 octane, Focus RS. Full bolt-on turbo kit, and just purchase a retune. Sounds good. Sent back a log. All right, let's get up Joey's. Let's see if the mess has been fixed. Hopefully it has been. Cameron, where you at, bud? Ah, there you go. Cameron, you said when you say new tune attached to log, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I attached a new tune. You got to flash it to your car, and then you go out and data log it again. Same thing you already did before. It's just now you have a new tune where I made changes, and you got to log it again. So hopefully that answers your question, and you're watching the stream still. All right, Joe, you backed off preload. Still not enough. How much preload do you have on that thing, man? Like 17 inches or what? Way too much preload still, Joey. Way too much. Spool's still good. So you got something going on there. It's not as crazy as it was before. It's better, but it looks like you still just have way too much on there. If you did 5 millimeters, it shouldn't have been that crazy high because you got 19-ish PSI worth of springs in there. So on this tune, you should be seeing around 20-ish PSI, 20, 21. So back it off a little bit more. You're getting closer, but still need to make some changes there. Let's see. Have you ever done lower octane tunes for daily driving? I have an S280 Fiesta ST on 92 tuned from you, but I log a ton of daily driving miles for work. We can do a lower octane tune, but I just prefer not to do it. These engines really need good octane in order to make power and also not knock. So if we did it, it would be the slowest thing ever, but we could do it. I thought about doing some 87 octane tunes when fuel was super high in price, but I wouldn't do it. It's just, in the grand scheme of things, if you're saving like, 15, 20 cents per gallon and you're only filling up 12 gallons, it's only a couple bucks. It's just worth it to get the highest octane in there. Plus, you're going to get a little bit better fuel mileage with the higher octane on these cars. Plus, you never know when you're going to want to do a pull in it or something. You don't want to be messing around on 87. You want full power. So, bet it was HP Tuner Clowns. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. How is the CNC ported head program for the Fiesta going? Are there worthwhile gains? Does it make bigger cams more useful? So the program for the Fiesta ST CNC ported cylinder head is not done yet. It's still being drawn up, and we haven't cut a head yet. So I would say within like the next 2 weeks, we're gonna cut our first head for Fiesta ST. And it's gonna be O-ringed, and it's gonna be CNC ported on both intake and exhaust side and down through. We're gonna keep stock size valves for now, just because the combustion chamber is so small. You're not gonna have a huge benefit with valves. We're running out of room how big we can go with how small the combustion chamber is, and how small the cylinder bore is. So we're probably going to leave stock valves in it. And then obviously with more airflow, camshafts are going to have a much bigger benefit. So you can do cams on a Fiesta ST. The reason why with a stock head there's not really any benefit is because you can max out the stock engine without cams or anything. So the stock head or the stock block really can't take a ton of power. 350 is like max, and you can do that with a 100% stock engine. Throwing cams in there is just going to make more power. You can kind of shape your power curve better with cams in the top end, but it's just not worth it. You might as well wait till you do a full build and do cams at the same time. So, but a couple more weeks, and we'll have that first head out. And then for that head, what we'll probably do is we'll probably throw a stock. My eyes fucked up. Anyways, we'll probably throw a stock engine in our car. Tune it for like 350 or like 330, I should say, 320, something like that. Something a little bit lower than what the max that the engine's capable of. And then we'll throw our head on it and just show the gains from the head itself. And then we got to take that head and throw it on our stroker block that we're building for ours. So the Trash Fiesta, next time it's up and running, will just be for the head testing, and then we're going to throw in our big boy setup on it. So it's going to be goes from a 1.6 liter to a 1.95 liter. We're going to do a side mounted turbo with a downpipe and wastegate dumps out the hood. And then our CNC ported head with upgraded cams and valve springs and stuff. So the transmission is probably going to explode, but we're going to try to make 600 horsepower on that car. We'll see. Let's see. I went to a tuner, only made 323 horsepower, 27 PSI. That didn't sound right to me, and paid $600. I was really upset with the outcome. Yes, just because somebody's local to you doesn't mean that they're the best option for you as far as tuning goes. You should be dealing with people that work with the car regularly because they have the most experience with it. Anybody can say they can tune a car, but if somebody brings me a 240 with like an SR or an RB in it, I can tune it, but it's probably not going to be the best option for you because I don't particularly am an expert in that platform. So I'm not sure who tuned it. You don't really need to say, but if you have a log from your car, you can send it over right now and I'll take a look at it and see. But yeah, 27 PSI is way too high for a stock turbo car. They really kind of peak out at like 24, 25 PSI, and then you make up the difference there in timing. So more than likely, a person just wasn't familiar with this car, and they're not easy cars to tune. That's why there's not a lot of people out there tuning them. There's only a handful of us tuners doing this, and that's mostly because these ECUs are just way too overly complex, and people just jumping in them and trying to figure them out. They come across. I'll bring up a stock tune here. See, and I'll bring up the software. Okay, so this is a stock tune, and these are all, I just searched timing basically, or BL timing, just borderline timing. I'll just search timing. So if somebody's messing with timing, they're gonna have to deal with this. So you have, especially if it's tuned with Cobb, you have a custom timing slot here which adds onto the base timing. Here's a single digit global change, so they see that. Then you have your 3 or 5 slots for each one. But getting into it, the actual timing, you have timing for your OR, which is your octane adjust ratio. You have your actual borderline timing, which is your base timing when you're full throttle. And if you look, there are 16 tables here. So this table all the way down to this table. So they jump in between based on cam position. So if you're not a Ford tuner and you aren't familiar with this, you have no idea where to make your changes at because there's 15 of them or 16 of them. So tuners that aren't used to this platform are going to just make changes here, and it probably won't even make a difference because they might not even be in that position of camshafts, or the camshafts might not be in that position where they're making these changes. So they need to know that. You have a cylinder pressure timing, so if the timing goes over this, it'll start using this table. So that's, if you're tuning it properly, you'll never see that table. That's the whole point. This is your MBT timing tables. This is mostly for when you're cruising around and just driving. And there's also 16 of those. You have your knock timing, which is going to be what people refer to as ignition corrections. You have a positive and negative number, and you can fully control that with how fast you want it to add the timing, the increment amount, how much degree of timing it adds per second or per millisecond, depending on how you set it up. The amount of timing it can add is here for knock. So there's just a ton of tables related just to timing. So if your tuner is not familiar with it, they probably didn't even touch these and they just figured it, whatever. And on top of that, you have a ton of airflow limiters. So even if they tried raising the boost or they think they're raising boost, the ECU can just keep it right in check because it's going to pull timing, it's going to close the throttle in order for you to match torque. So they probably just had no idea what they were dealing with, and I'm just kind of showing how complex this shit is and why you shouldn't just choose somebody that's local to you. You should choose somebody that does this car for a living or these cars for a living. So definitely get a retune and make that retune through us so you can get more power, the power that you need, and also safe, because if they're at 27 psi, that means they're just raising boosts and they didn't factor in any of the limiters that are getting in their way. So 323, I can do that on 90 octane with a stock car. Is plus 6 degrees the max on a Fiesta ST? I notice that's where mine is at the end of the RPM range. So I can set ignition correction to be whatever I want. All it does is it's adding timing on top of base timing. So I set these to 1. Anybody that has a tune from us, it's going to go to 1. And the reason why I do that is easy for you as the customer and the driver to see that everything's right. You know, if you have a big range and it's going anywhere between 0 and 6, it's going all over the place. You can't really tell when you have a big swing where there's an issue. If it just goes straight to 1 and holds 1 the whole time, you know you got 0 knock during that pull. It's just easier. But like I said, I can make it say 20. I mean, I can see what the max is here. Bring it up. 20. Yeah, that was a good guess, I guess. I can set ignition corrections to go all the way up to 20 degrees, and all I do is just offset the base timing 20 degrees, and it's still at the end, you're still at your same total timing. So there is no max for any tuner. I mean, well, every tuner has a max, but there's no wrong or right. As long as you're not getting knock is okay. Like I said, the only thing that matters is your overall timing. So, and I can manipulate that any way I need to. But plus 6 sounds like more of a factory type. So like I said, I just did that. I brought it up actually. So let me bring up the software again. So if you're seeing 6, look, this is a factory tune right here. 6 degrees of allowed ignition correction, positive timing. So whoever tuned your car is just using the factory settings for here, which are kind of aggressive and doesn't really get you a nice smooth power band. Or sorry, well, that too, a nice smooth power band, but because timing is all over the place. So if I bring up a data log here, hopefully I'm grabbing one that's good. Yes, okay. So if you look at timing here, if somebody uses the factory ones, they're not going to have as smooth of a timing curve as this purple line here. There's actually 4 lines here, but because there's no lock, you can't see all of them, or no knock. So yeah, your timing probably looks like ass, and it's probably going up and down, and really choppy because they haven't changed the way that the timing is added on the ignition correction side. So yeah, you're just using either somebody just slightly modified a Cabo TS map, or they're using the factory ignition correction settings, which suck. So whoever tuned your car probably doesn't have as much experience tuning these as somebody else might have, like myself. Not to gloat, but yeah. So who is tuning your car? If you want to say, you can message me directly. Instagram, TunePlus Inc. Message me directly on there. Let's see. how can I send you a log? I'm new to all this. Go to our website, tuneplusinc.com. Here, actually, I'll show you. I'll go to tuneplusinc.com. Click tuning at the top of the page. And if you scroll down, there is a drop down right here called the Getting Started / data logging process. This outlines the entire process for data logging. Shows you how to upload your tune, all that good stuff, which you've probably already done. And then down here is your 4 cars. You know, we tune more than this, but these are our main cars. So you can click on one of these and it'll give you all the monitors that need to be set by going to gauges and then click up to do the setup log or setup data logging configuration. And you're going to click these on here. And then this shows you what RPM to do it at, what gear, all that good stuff. So just right on the website again, tuneplusinc.com. Click tuning up on top and scroll on down. Okay, that's that. And Cameron, waiting on you to send over some more logs. Oops. Change that. Update. Right. Puma Speed customer here. Oh, man. Puma Speed. I made 361 bhp, brake horsepower, and 371 foot-pounds of torque with the GTX 2860R Gen 1 turbo. It has all the fuel mods like the higher lift for the high-pressure fuel pump and injectors. Is this about right for the turbo, tubular exhaust manifold, and no external wastegate? So what fuel are you running? That's going to be the biggest thing as far as how much power you can make. So let me know what fuel you're running and I can better answer your question there. I'm rocking an NX2 turbo on a built bottom end, full bolt-on, 4-port meth, but still only able to reach 415 on 94. I was told I should be closer to 450 to 500 with what I have, 17 RS. So cylinder head flow is a factor here, but if you're running 94 octane and methanol, you should still be able to make more power than that. You're probably just not running a lot of timing. I'd have to see the logs. If you have your logs, you can send them to me. Tuning at adamtune.com. I'll bring it up right now and take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, realistically, if you have a built bottom end and an NX2, you should be able to crank up boost pretty good because you're not going to blow the stock bottom end anymore. And then 4-port meth, depending on what mixture you're running, you know, if you're running 50-50, you can't run as much timing. But if you're running like, say, straight methanol or like a 70-30 mix with actual methanol, then I don't see any reason why you shouldn't make about 450. Above that, airflow becomes a huge factor. That's when you need to get into an upgraded head. Like our cylinder head, our CNC ported cylinder head with O-ringing, upgraded cams, and valve train, if you just throw that on your setup right there, it by itself is going to gain 40-50 horsepower. So, yeah, head becomes a limiting factor once you get about 450. So, 99 RON, that's equal to about 93, 94 octane here in the US. So yeah, 361 BHP. Take off times 0.88, 12%. Drivetrain loss. You're about around 300 horsepower to the wheels. You're probably limited by knock. That's probably where they stopped. So if you did better fuel, if you did like ethanol mix or race gas or ethanol mix, race gas, or methanol injection, then you'd make more power. So you're probably just limited by the fuel itself and its ability to take more timing to make that power, because I mention this all the time on these streams is you need timing to make power, and you're not going to get a ton of timing with regular pump gas. That's why a ton of people run E30 tunes or they're running methanol, stuff like that. So you're probably just limited by fuel. You know, run a better fuel and you'll be able to make more power on that Fiesta setup. If you switch to a Gen 2, you're going to get a shit ton faster spool. Those Gen 1s are pretty much pigs on spool there. So, and I know you dislike Puma Speed after that engine. Yes, I hate poo-poo speed. So, you know, but a lot of guys over there, they have no options really for tuning because Cobb doesn't support the United Kingdom or the UK, EU cars as far as Fiesta ST goes. So, but they do support Focus RS and Mustang and all those just for the Fiesta ST for whatever reason. they don't support it, and I think it has to do with the ECU itself actually being completely different. So, but I wish I could tune those cars because we would get a shit ton of customers in the United Kingdom and even anywhere in the Europe. I thought about even going there and staying there for a couple months and getting familiar with some of the software that's available for those cars and just literally stay there and tune a shit ton of cars because a lot of guys are not making the power they should over there. Let's see. Ignition timing cylinder 1 goes from 0 to 1-ish up to +6 for the pull. So that's probably ignition correction, not ignition timing. It probably goes up a lot more. So send over a log and I'll take a look at it. Last stuff. Boost juice. Ugh. Boost juice is the worst. In fact, on our tuning instructions, when we send somebody a tune for methanol, we recommend against using boost juice. And the reason for that is the red dye that's in boost juice. The red dye it's like sticky. It's a weird, I don't know what the hell they're using to do it. I think I don't know, maybe it's sugary or some shit. But it gets all up inside the throttle body. And on like EcoBoost Mustangs and stuff, that methanol will stick to the throttle body. And when you turn the car off at night, in the morning, your throttle plate will get stuck. So I don't recommend boost juice. You can run it if you want. You're just not. That's why you're not really getting a ton of power because you can't run a ton of timing with boost juice. If you run, say, a methanol, if you go buy a can of VPM1 and mix it with distilled water to like a 70-30 ratio, we can usually add over 93 octane about 5 degrees of timing. With boost juice, we see about like 3 before it starts to knock. So you can change your methanol mixture, gain some power from there. I have ethanol tune as well, but only got me to 430. You should be able to make way more power with E30 than that. You only made 415 with methanol on 94. If you do E30, you should be able to run no methanol at all and be able to make 440, 450 before you start maxing out the fuel pump and injectors. Let's see. Thanks, Adam. It was a second-hand Gen 1. I was chasing 400 bhp. It's tuned by the same guy who does HPA mapping. Would you prefer the Gen 2 over, say, a G25 550? Yes and no. You said you had a Gen 1, but what was it? It's a 2867. So 2867s are super laggy no matter what, even if it is a Gen 2. The turbo is just a little too big for a stock engine. I think the 2860 Gen 2 is the best out of those engines. Out of those turbos. G25 550 is going to get you faster spool, but you're not going to have as much top end as you do now. Realistically, I've just can it all and just do S280 if you're going to stay on stock engine. If you do a Turbo Technics S280, you're going to be able to have up to 400 horsepower to the wheels capability. That's what we've made on our car. So if you want 400 bhp, that means you only need to make about, bring up my calculator here. You only need to make about 340 wheel horsepower, which you can do that easy with an S280. And it's going to have the fastest spool. It's going to have the best packaging inside the engine bay because it's all factory style fitment. So that's what I would suggest. If you plan on going over that 350 wheel horsepower mark or 400 bhp, then I would suggest doing a built engine and then going with like a G25 660 with a small housing on it. And Joey, you sent a log, so let's get that loaded up. If my email is working. Here we go. Ooh, now you see what's going on here. Joey, I got you chasing this thing around now. So now your spool's really, really far out. You're not hitting, 23, 24 pounds of boost until 5,000 RPMs now instead of 3,000. And the reason that's happening is because the wastegate is now open during spool. It's too soft. So we got to add a little bit more, but you can see we're up there and boost up top. That means you're close. So you just got to add a little bit more on there. If you can say in the chat how much you took off or where you're preloaded at now, that'll give me a better idea to where to put you. But yeah, we got to add a little bit more preload back in there. And man, the thing thing is overboosting quite a bit. What is your exhaust setup past the downpipe on your car, Joey? We might have a restriction on the exhaust side. I moved over to the X58 Evo 2 turbos now. They made 400 bhp on stock engines over here. Low spool times, making 1 bar of boost at 2900 RPM. So 1 bar of boost is 14 psi at 2900 RPM. That's cool and all, but we make 36 psi at 3200 RPM. So almost triple that. So Puma Speed turbos are garbage, and I don't suggest them at all. They have way too many failures. I just had a customer with an X58, just had a failure. He went to an S280. So if you want to see 1 bar of boost on an S280, you're going to see it at like 2,500 RPMs if you start at 2,000 RPM pull. So damn, Joey, backing off that preload quick. Yeah, a little too much. I rock the XDI Evo pump and XDI injectors, so I think my fueling flow is okay. Ryan, if you have an XDI Evo pump and XDI injectors, why are you not running E85? You don't need methanol. Throw that shit in the trash. You don't need to run E30 because mixing is stupid. You can literally just throw E85 in it, tune it, and that will make 480, 500 wheel horsepower if you really push the fuck out of that turbo. I would say because of your cylinder head being stock, I don't know what head studs you have. Hopefully you have 625 plus head studs in that setup. But if you don't, keep it like 450, 460. But run E85. Fill that thing up with the E85 and send it. It's forged engine, by the way. So Unity 101, I'm not sure your first name. If you can put that in there, easier for me to address you. So you got a forged engine. That doesn't mean shit on a Fiesta ST. Excuse my French. Fiesta STs, if you don't sleeve the block and just do rods and pistons, you haven't done anything. So the limitation of that block is the cylinder liners themselves. Adding those little stints or whatever the hell, the shims that Puma Speed does nothing. Doing CSS on the block does nothing. The block needs to be machined out completely. Let me see if I have a picture. I just threw my keyboard, or threw my phone on my keyboard. That's good. So let me fix that. There we go. Let me see if I have a picture that I can load up showing you our blocks that we do for Fiesta ST. Let's see. Boop. I'm going to message myself and then bring up my message here. Maybe. Here we go. I'm going to do this actually. Switch. Owen. Yes, sleeve block. So hopefully it's actually sleeved and it looks like that. This is our sleeve block for Fiesta ST. So you can see the entire cylinders have been replaced. And also you can see 625 plus head studs. So even if you sleeve it, if you don't convert the head studs and run 625 plus material, you're just going to lift the head anyways. So you need sleeve block and the head studs. That's the recipe for getting these engines to live. So, but you don't really need that for the horsepower you're shooting for. So going back to Joey, full 3-inch race version. Okay, race version should be fine. I had their street version and that was an issue. It really depends on if you have an old one or not, because if you had an old one with the single muffler in the middle, they were a huge restriction on my car and I had to get them to change the muffler. So if you got a newer version of that exhaust and you didn't get it, say back in 2016 or 17, then you should be fine. But go ahead and raise or increase a little bit of preload. And let's just see if we can get the spool back because our boost is fine. But yeah, we might just have to run boost a little bit lower, use the throttle to keep the boost blocked out on your setup, Joey, until you run 85 and then we can crank it up. Let's see. Wow, what turbo is that? Oh, and I'm not sure what was that reference to, but yeah, S280. We can make a ton of boost and at low RPM on that thing. So those turbos can be dangerous, but they are the best for a stock engine setup. And if you have a built engine setup, even better. But like I said, if you just did off-the-shelf ARP head studs, they're not enough. They're actually worse than the factory head bolts. So we completely modify the block and we actually install Focus RS, EcoBoost Mustang, Focus ST, 625 plus head studs in it, and that'll keep the head from lifting. So you live in Canada. So Ryan, you said you had an E30 tune, I thought. Let me scroll up. I have an E30 tune, but it only got me to 430. How'd you make E30 if you don't have E85? Do you have an E30 pump? If so, don't use that. The E30 pumps are actually mixed with 87, actually 86 octane. So if anybody ever sees E30 at a pump, it's because it's mixed, or don't use it because it's mixed with 86 octane instead of 91 or 93. So going back through it, am I losing power there? I need a new CapEx exhaust running stock after downpipe, and the S280 already blew a pinhole in the stock muffler. Woo, so many people in here. So free AOL CD. You have a Fiesta? I thought you had something else. Am I reading it wrong? Let me go back up. There's a ton of people chatting in here now. Thank God. This is the highest we've had. I appreciate it. Anyways, catback. I'm just going to answer the question in general sense. So you're running a stock exhaust with a downpipe with an S280. Already blew a pinhole in the stock muffler. So the stock catback is not really a huge restriction until you get up to over 280, 290 horsepower. Then I would recommend upgrading it. But you can push them higher than that. It's just going to hold you back slightly. So if you do a catback, you are going to pick up a little bit of power, but it's going to be more substantial of a gain over 300. Let's see here. The sleeves make it a closed deck similar to Dart mid sleeves. Yes. So if you sleeve it, you're going to make it more of a closed deck than an open deck, and that's the big thing there is actually replacing the entire cylinder liner in a Fiesta ST block because the cylinder liner itself is what cracks. So you could do standard sleeves, but we always make, if we're sleeving it, we're going to go the best of the best. So we're going to do closed like mid sleeves, the MID sleeves that he mentioned in there. And that's those sleeves that I showed in the picture are actually custom made for us. And thanks for doing the Wayne Dangos for Focus RS. You love yours. Good. You should thank Dan at Velocitech because he headed up my idea for that. And he's the one that actually prints and makes them for us. So I just had the idea and I did the test fitting and all that stuff, but he actually did the creation of those things. And Nick, you sent logs. Good. John, you sent logs. I saw those as well. I'll go over those tomorrow morning. How many 2-3 blocks have you seen with the blown head gaskets? A fuck ton. So many. So it's an issue for all 2015 to 2018 Focus RSs and EcoBoost Mustangs. So there's been a ton. And a lot of the Focuses that I buy, build, and sell that people may have seen on Facebook. Oh, there you go. Gotcha. I'll answer your message in a second for EOL. So anyways, a lot of the cars that I buy and build and sell, they had a head gasket failure and it killed the engine and the customer can't pay to fix it because Ford no longer replaces them. Even if there's an engine failure, they said you should have gotten it done when we had the recall. So a lot of the cars I buy are blown head gaskets, but I see them on Mustangs all the time. The issue is just lifting the head, poor assembly, poor quality control. So if you have a 2.3 EcoBoost, no matter what it's in, Explorer, Focus, Mustang, do head studs and head gasket if you want longevity. S280, 92 octane, yeah. So V-Dyno sucks. I never use it. So I can tell you right now, if you run a 92 octane, you're making 24, 25 PSI if I tuned it. And if you're full bolt on minus the exhaust, you're making about 285-ish, I would say, realistically. And depends. If you're at elevation, then that number comes down. But seeing as you're in 92 octane, that means you're probably in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, or Washington. I don't know your actual name, just your screen name there. So you might have a little bit of elevation, and that's why it reads a little bit lower. But you can email me if you have a concern about it, and I'll take a look at it. And Cameron, get your logs pulled up. Oh, got a couple pulls on here, bud. Just need one. Just need one pull. All right, so These logs are from the original tune I sent you. These aren't of the new tune. Yeah, so Cameron, if you're watching, these are just the same logs you did before. They're not the new ones. Really did flash the new tune. Cameron, the new tune is S101 is the file name. These are just S100, which is your base map. So hopefully you've seen that and you can get that fixed. Kevin, we'll get you up there. Remember, we added a little bit of boost on yours and try to get a little more fueling in there. So boost is nice and flat, hitting that 24, 25 PSI mark now. Probably overshooting just a hair. Yeah, just a hair. Not much off of target. So I'll make a quick adjustment there. Timing is good. We couldn't raise any timing because you're at the max of that fuel. And we should be all set as long as your fuel is good. And it is. So yeah, you can see I added a little bit more fuel, so we got the mid-range is good now. And up top, it's just still trending a little bit lean. You can kind of see it sweeping up there. So yeah, this is going to be the max that we can run on the stock fuel system for this car. So I'm going to make a quick change here and just get boost back in check there. And you'll be all set until you do some fuel upgrades. I can't type very well sometimes. And all set there. So Kevin, final tune is in your inbox and you are all set for that setup. I'm not going to put any messages or anything in there because you're hearing me talk right now. Boop, final tune set. Just to confirm, I reflashed the same tune you originally sent me. No, Cameron, you got to log with the tune that I sent you. So every time I send you an email with a new tune, the revision number is going to change. So you always run the latest one. And then Ryan, you sent me a log, it looks like. Let's see, yes, sir. Log sent, boss. What email did we send logs to? Ryan, looks like I'm looking at yours, so you got that figured out. Washington State, yeah, sea level, okay. 3-inch gap back and get a retune from you. You don't need a 3-inch, get a 2.5-inch. Look at our exhaust. I know this is a free plug. Well, it's not a free plug. I can talk about my shit on here because you're tuning in and listening to me. Our website, Fiesta ST, catbacks, buy our stainless or our titanium. This is the best sounding exhaust for Fiesta ST. I made sure of it. And we got a little pie cut tip, so it looks sick. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. USA made, USA steel, USA cut flanges, everything in the USA. No Chinese bullshit. It's going to be the best exhaust that you can get for the Fiesta ST. It'll support up to 500 horsepower. Look at them welds. Look at them welds, bud. You can't beat it. Obviously, a little bit more on the pricier side, but if you compare them to other exhausts out there, it's really not too much more money. But if you do a new muffler, or with the muffler, you want it to be quiet, it adds a little bit. So a little bit spendy, but US made, and it's going to be the best you can get. And the fitment's spot on. Look at that. Look at that. Just right in there. Symmetrical. Real good. So yeah, grab that exhaust or don't. It's just my suggestion. The TunePlus exhaust sounds nice and is great quality. Thanks, TJ. All right, Ryan, let's take a look at yours real quick. And Owen, I see you sent me an email. I will reply to that after this stream here. Let's see. So Ryan, looking at your setup here. Yeah, Owen, I'll definitely, I saw your email, so I'll reply back to it. So looking at this, so it looks like you might not have changed your, yeah, you didn't. So on our instructions, we have, you got to change your data logging monitors to match our list. You do that by going to your access port, click the gauge screen, and then when you're on your gauges and you got the little screen up with all your little gauge dudes on it, hit the up button and you'll have a little arrow there. Click that and then it'll show an option for configured data logging monitors, and you need to change those to what's on ours. But looking at this, throttle's wide open, so you're not getting any throttle setbacks there. Ignition corrections. I think I know who tuned this car. It looks like, but pretty low timing, all down low. Like that's, I mean, you're in the negatives here. You know, you're at 4,000 RPMs. You should be well around like 3 to 4 degrees here, especially if you're running methanol. I don't know if this is on methanol or not, but there's a ton of timing that can be added here. And like I said 1,000 times in this stream, timing is how these cars make power. So you need timing to make power. And I mean, this is like 90, 91-ish, 92-ish timing. You could definitely run a lot more timing. I need to see our data logs, our data log monitors on this to really give you a lot more information, but you can make more power for sure. For sure. Fueling is good, not too bad. And let me see here. Yeah, timing is just weak. I think your biggest issue is just timing. And charge temp's not too bad. So, yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in the stream, like looking at some timing, you can see this is ignition correction that's just bumping up half a degree at a time. I've seen other tuners do this. I don't know why they do that, but look at your timing overall. Yeah, BR tuning. Okay, so they're using a weird strategy for adding ignition correction, and it's because they're using like mostly factory tuning there. So, but yeah, super weak timing. Your torque is probably really low. There's so much chat, I don't know what it was, but yeah, just super low timing through here. And look how choppy it is compared to, say, let's see here. I'll bring up another log real quick with like one of ours. Nick, this is your logs. If you're still watching, just bring yours up real quick. And I could tell by the little bit waviness right here, we're getting a little something. So we'll check that out. But yeah, let's look at timing. This is a different car, you know, but it's not a big deal. It's not the point. You're getting some traction control events here, by the way, Nick. Yep. Hold down your traction control button all the way before you do a log on the next one. So see how smooth the timing is here? Because I've shaped this timing and know these cars in and out. But look how smooth the timing is minus these two small traction control events here. Shit, am I got the screen up? Yeah, I do, okay. So you can see how smooth it is and look how choppy and stuff yours is. So it's just they're using mostly factory settings here for the timing. So definitely could be improved upon. If you want to go through the process, just go on our website again. Tuning up on top, and there's a purchase tab right here. And this is all of our options. Everything's outlined in the description. Tons of information here. You can buy a single tune for $200. Dual fuel tune if you want to do two fuels. You're running methanol, so you'd have to do the two. We do one for 93, then we do one for 93 or 94. You're in Canada, so 94 plus the methanol. So it'd be two fuels. And then if you want to do E30 again, which you mentioned, I don't remember if you answered my question about that, but if you want to do a third fuel, you just need to purchase a retune, and that covers your third fuel, so another $75. So yeah, definitely some improvements could be made there. So if you want to go down that path, we can definitely do it. Sent log. And Joey. All right. Ugh. Bastards. Okay. Getting better. We got to fix this. So this is on my end. Now that you got this all corrected and we're seeing what we want, I need to make some changes there. But this is good. Keep preload right there. It's fucking making some steam now. You're good there. Ignition timing. I know you're just on 91 and it's junky. You can see a couple corrections there, but that's gonna be about as best as we're gonna get it with that California fuel, man. Yeah, you're getting a little bit of knock there. So we have to address this fuckery, and that stems from mostly this. So you're just riding the edge of the table here. That's why. So yeah, I'm going to make a quick revision to your setup there, Joey, and send you back over a new tune. And that should clean it up and about do it for 91 octane, honestly. So where I want to see, let me bring this up. Yeah, it's jumping in between. Bloop, 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 bloop. Now I'm in concentration mode. Boop. Especially on the 18 plus Mustangs, I'm very protective over the information that I show on these streams because they are way more difficult to tune than any of the other EcoBoost Mustang or even Focus RS and stuff. So I sent you a new tune. Go ahead and log it. Hopefully that'll smooth that out. And actually there's an airflow limit we need to adjust as well. And boom. Flow limit. Oops. Get those out of the way. All right, Joey, now you have a new tune. I was being picky. All right, what we got? Let's see. Log, zero negative correction on watt. So Amir, so it sounds like we fixed your issue that you were having with the other tuner. Send me a log. I'll check it out. My traction control is all the way off. Did you hold it down for... Like you hold it down and the little bar goes across your screen. Just make sure you have that done. If not, what probably happened is you might hit a pothole or something and that's what caused it, but not a huge deal. I'd have to get 94 meth. E30 was hoping to get close to 500 with built bottom end, fueling, and turbo upgrade. Not on E30, you're not. So how are you getting E30, Ryan? Are you getting it out of a pump? Are you mixing it with E85? How are you getting E30? Because you mentioned you didn't have access to E85. And... can I keep up with those scat packs now? You should. You should be able to beat it. You should be able to hang with the scat pack. Maybe even be a little bit faster. I'm going to shoot you a log once I'm home. I noticed that you have a Burble Plus option. It's not a Burble Plus option. It's a Perps and Burbs tune. It's making fun of all those pop tunes and all that shit. I don't like doing them, but we offer it because customers ask for them. So tuning on the top of our website, scroll down. We can tell it's a joke because we got this on there. But yeah, this is a Perps and Burbs tune. If you go on our YouTube channel, which you're already watching, there's an example of what you get when you add that. So it's just a regular Burble tune option without being so excessive. No, we only just have the one option. And we try to make our tunes not super annoying like the popcorn shit that other tuners have. And we kind of outline it right here. Perps and Burbs tune is our take on an increasingly popular burble tune, or also known as crackle or pop tune. Most of the tunes that do this out there are over-exaggerated on the pops, the perps, and less on the burble, burbs. We like to describe as a low grumble on decel. So basically, if you go with ours, you're going to have a couple pops, but more or less more like a grumble on decel versus popcorn, because that is annoying. If your shop gets barrels, Ryan, you can just run it straight instead of mixing it. But if you want to mix it to get that barrel to last longer, do E50. If you do E50 with your setup, especially because you have the XDI pump and injectors, we can do E50. And because of your head limitation, cylinder head limitation, not your brain, you'd be looking at like 465, 470 on that setup. If you want to make 500, you have to do at minimum a set of valve springs and cams in it. But if you do like our ported head, so going on our website, top of the page, short blocks and cylinder heads. You can scroll down. You can see our cylinder head package here. Fully outlined, cams, O-ringed, valve job, excuse me, and CNC ported. Um, Huge gains, 32% increase in airflow on these. And then because the exhaust side on these, it has two outer runners and two center runners. That's why they're all merged together. We have them all equally balanced out. So you have equal flow from each cylinder. That way the two inner cylinders aren't making more power than the outer cylinders. They're all equal, which a lot of people don't do. And that's why we're able to make such big gains on our cylinder head. You learned a new roast. What did I miss? Oh, crap packs. Nice. Do pops and bangs reduce power? No, it doesn't because it's on decel. You're not really looking to make power when you're on decel, right? Joey getting polished up. When I'm home, I'll show you a data log. Sounds good. 600 horsepower on a sleeve block. Alan, I'm assuming you're talking about the Fiesta I mentioned earlier? Yes. That's what I'm searching for. Sleeved. There's a lot more to it. We got a billet crank in it. We got X-beam rods, R pistons in it. Sleeved, 625 plus head studs, CNC ported head, O-rings, 1mm valves, camshafts, everything. And it's going to be on a Zona 7164 turbo. And Ryan, it looks like you messaged me on Instagram. John, you're still on stock cylinder head on your car? I could have swore you had an upgraded cylinder head on yours. Oh, this was earlier. Sorry, Ryan. I just now saw your messages on Instagram. Oop. They're not stressful at all. You have an RS, so you come from the factory with pops and bangs. So, and it's just on decel. Your engine's in vacuum. There's not a lot of pressure in there. All it is just igniting fuel that is allowed to stay in the cylinder for longer and go out the exhaust and ignite it later. That's all that's happening. Stock head just upgraded sides. Yeah, John, if you do upgraded head on your car, you can gain 100 horsepower from the head alone, guaranteed. I'm willing to bet on it. I'm willing to bet that if you throw your car in the dyno up here right now, and then we swap the head on it, it'll pick up 100 horsepower. And Nick, let's go back to yours real quick. Even though you haven't paid for your live tuning spot, I'll be nice and fill the time. And Cameron, if you're still watching, because you paid for your live stream, if we don't finish today, you can continue next Sunday and not have to pay again. It's the $30 that you pay is until the car is done, basically. Let's see. Yeah, so like I mentioned, there's a dip in your RPM here, Nick. So it's probably a Cameron. I'm sending you another email with that tune on there again. It's just attached to the email I just sent. So anyways, Nick, that's what this little bump is here. So it's probably, you probably had a pothole or something. Let's check your other log. Now, why am I touching my face? Oops. Some awful Costco water. All right, so boost is flat. Like we made those changes, I said. We're good there. You're not clipping any. And you don't have any throttle closures. Your air fuel is flat. Nice as hell. Ignition timing on this one. Nope. Perfect. So yeah, you don't have it on this one. It was just that last one. We're still a little conservative on timing because we're still adding boost. I want to see how it goes. We want to get to our target boost and then start adding timing. So yeah, these little waves here in your boost, instead of being flat, this mostly has to do with, let me see, I'm going to go to your setup here real quick, Nick. I want to look at your setup again. So 2860 second gen, Composer delete, tile wastegate, buff, or upgraded fuel pump and injectors. Oh yeah, Bravo intercooler. No comment. An HPS cold air intake and a tubular exhaust manifold. So a lot of times those waves have to do with the intake setup itself. Sometimes the choking point, But sometimes it's just the wastegate chattering, and it's not a big deal. We're not losing. There's no real benefit to it. It's just the way it looks, basically, visually. You probably aren't feeling these in the car at all, the little waves here. But you're possibly choking up. I know, I'm on Google right now. I want to see what the HPS Fiesta ST intake looks like. Nick, is this the intake you got on your car? That's a goofy one. Not a huge deal. So it's probably less to do with your intake and more just the wastegate just kind of trying to keep target boost here and chattering a little bit. So because we have no other, there's no other factors here causing the waves. I'm spending too much time on that. So yeah, let's add some more boost again. All right. So Nick, I'm going to send you over another tune real quick. This should get you up around that. Let's see. Should be up around 26-ish PSI, 25 PSI on this one. All right, we're going to end the stream here in a few. Joey, you got me in. Did you give me a new log, or I replied to this? I'm pretty sure. Did I reply to this? Am I dumb right now? Oh yeah, that was the old one. We're good there. Cool. Right. What's your opinion on custom tune versus flash tune? Debating on switching to custom without Fiesta ST. Flash tunes are garbage. That's why we don't offer them. Flash tune is just something they created, a tuner. I'm pretty positive I know who you have. But anyways, they just create a tune based on, generic information. So if your fuel quality is not as good or your fuel quality is better than the car that they originally created the flash tune on, you could have more power on the table. So custom tuning is always the way to go because you're actually looking at logs from your vehicle specifically at your elevation, at your climate, with your fuel that you're using. Your car is going to be dialed in. If you want to make the most of it, definitely do a custom tune. Don't run those flash tune bullshit. Get it done right. A flash tune is just another name for an OTS tune. So you would never run the Cobb OTS tune, I bet. So same goes for a flash tune. Let's see. Do you do all your tuning through Access Port? Yes. Any tuning that we don't do through Cobb Access Port is all done in-house on the dyno or on the street locally. A lot of other software out there is not very friendly when it comes to remote tuning. So I do standalone tuning. I do HP tuners. I can tune a ton of different vehicles. It's just I mostly focus, no pun intended, on the EcoBoost platform with the Cobb Access Port because, as you can see, the process is pretty straightforward and easy, and I like it to be easy for the customers. Doing remote tuning with like HP tuners is just a headache for me. A lot of people do it. I know that, but it's not for me. I got to be fast. I got to be quick. I got to get the turnaround times down. People want stuff now. And Joey, it looks like we cleaned that up a little bit. Windy out, windy. All right, so we are a lot better this time around. I made some quick changes to smooth that out. But fuck, your fuel sucks, man. It's the worst. It's the worst. Ay, ay, ay. So we can ramp up boost back in there now. Now that those last changes I made seem to have taken well. No, Wu J, I'll show you in a second the differences. Give me a second. I'm gonna make some changes for Joey. And Joey, this will be the last one for today, but we'll continue through the week if you want to log again and send it over to me. But I'm gonna make some quick changes on your setup here. file was that? That was D106. Okay. All right, Joey, you have another tune in there. Go ahead and log it and shoot it over, and I'll reply either tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's get your... here we go. Sorry. Let's get your 91 tune done this week. That way next Sunday we can do an 85 tune and crank it up. So that's that. All right. All right, so ATV2 or VT330. Daryl. Soul thanks Adam. I should say this is my wife's Fiesta ST. My old ST had that stupid RT330 that you helped me out with. I'll get her car. Yeah, that RT330. That's the. I always get those confused too. Is the RT330 and all this other bullshit. The RT was a terrible, terrible turbo. So, and why do I think this is the same turbo? I'm pretty sure this is the same turbo as the one that had issues. The problem is they added a compressor anti-surge in here, and it was bleeding off when it was spooling. That 330 thing was terrible, 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 terrible. So this turbo is a little bit better because it's not a factory turbo that's just had wheels crammed in it, but they really don't show a lot of information. I'm pretty sure that they recasted the turbine housing on this and made it bigger, but I'd really need the specs on this turbo. This is a different one than I was thinking of. I'm pretty sure AET had a turbo before that was like a hybrid. But so far, I haven't seen any of the VT330Rs make similar power results as the S280. I can tell you it's not the same because the compressor cover is definitely different, and the turbine housing still looks smaller like the stock one. So, oh, look at pop-up. Nobody does pop-ups. If you have one on your car already, we can tune it and see what we get, but I'm pretty sure that's still on the stock size turbine housing on the VT330. So, have you ever tuned Cyvex and Motec? Yes, Motec is the shit. We have Motec set up for Focus RS, and there's a little bit of EcoBoost Mustang support as well. There's nothing for the Fiesta ST or Focus ST. You could use a Focus RS Motec setup on a Focus ST, but I'm not sure what vehicle you're talking about. Cyvex is terrible. It's powerful. A lot of people use it. You know, big power cars like Gallardos and Huracans and R8, stuff like that have used it, and McLarens, but the software is just terrible. It's the worst software I've ever had to use before. I just refuse to use it. So I won't tune Cyvex, I'll say that right now, but Motec I'll tune all day, every day. Motec is the peak tuning software out there, an ECU. It's the best. There's nothing else better than it. Fuel Tech is really good as well, but Motec is still my preferred. So, and yes, in person. It would have to be in person. I wouldn't remote tune Motec. There's a lot going on in standalones, and I need to be there and looking at everything and feel the car and see how the car's running and responding. And Joey, the gas has been in my tank for 2 weeks. I probably should get fresh gas. Yes. Before your next log, run that tank out, fill up with some fresh gas in there just to be sure, and then log that last one I sent you. And that's probably going to do it for 91. We're probably not going to be able to get much more out of it because of the fuel quality itself. So, but looking through, I don't think anybody that's on the stream has sent me anything. Yep. I got a bunch of our normal through the week tunes I got to do, but everybody's already seen it. You know, nothing new. I like to tune some more cars live so we can interact on here. They had a V1, but I asked because I've not installed yet. Just hopefully soon. I need some more things to complete the build. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you already have one, then, you know, by all means run it. But if you haven't bought a turbo yet, the S280 is the best turbo for the Fiesta ST. There's nothing else out there that's better than it. If the 330 is close, they tried, you know, mimicking it or something, then that's fine too. I really need to see it. I'm pretty sure I tuned one already. It's just not a super popular turbo. Everybody buys the S280 or a Whoosh Hybrid or the GTX 2860. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to do something a little bit different. And, you know, if you're in the US and we're able to tune it with the Cobb Access port, I'd like to tune it and see what kind of numbers we get out of it and see if it's something comparable to the S280. I'm never going to recommend something else. Um, or I'm not going to not recommend it just because it's a competitor to S280 and we sell the S280. If it's a good option, I have access to AET products. I work with them, so we would sell those as well. But we try to only sell things that we know perform. Yeah, that'll do it. It was supposed to be a little bit shorter of a stream this week, but still kind of went on for a little bit. We went on almost, what, an hour and a half? Yeah, usually about 2 hours, 3 hours. So I'm going to wrap it up. I got to sit here for 45 seconds before I end it. But that'll be the end of it. Interesting. All right. Doesn't come up on mobile for some reason. Just realized that. Okay. Yeah, if I'm even still alive right now, if you're in Oklahoma and having to do, and we're going to do the tune, then awesome. Yeah, well, let's definitely check it out. I like to see what that turbo can come up with for power. Hopefully, it is comparable to S280. That way, we have a backup when they're on back order.